Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have tuned into the Rebel News live stream. It is Thursday, January the 14th, 2021. I'm David Menzies, and as always on Tuesday and Thursday, I am joined by my lovely co-host somewhere in the hinterland of northern Alberta, Sheila, the She-Devil Gunn Reid. Wow, how you doing, Sheila? And I like that color on you. You look very vibrant today.
Do you know what? Last time I wore this color around you, you said the same thing. We were in Israel and I was wearing like a bright yellow shirt. And you're like, I really like that shirt. And then I had bright yellow glasses in Israel, which I left in a hotel there. And you're like, I really like those glasses. There's something about them. So,
I'm
maybe
sorry,
yellow
Sheila,
is your thing.
The only enduring memories I have of you in Israel is you curled in the fetal position as the bus was going down a winding mountain road, and you literally screaming as you ran away from the catacombs. So I don't know, folks, here's a woman that could probably kill a wolverine with her bare hands when she goes hunting, but there's something about I don't know, rapid mountain descending bus travel and I guess claustrophobia that makes Sheila unhinged. So I have no other memories of that Israel trip other than those two anecdotes, Sheila.
David, don't worry about the Wolverine, because I feel like I could kill you with my bare hands. Because you're telling all these people my Achilles heels of claustrophobia and car sickness. And so what's going to happen? I go to a protest where there's a bunch of lefties there. What are they going to do? Put a jacket over my head and spin me around, and then I'm going to be completely disabled and useless because they know my weaknesses now.
I never felt so powerless seeing you in such pain. I didn't know, should I hold her hand? Should I hug her? Should I say some calming words? But, you know, I don't want to break any HR rules, so I just let you suffer. Really? Sorry.
Oh, really? You care about HR rules? You know, don't lie to me and don't lie to these people. We should tell everybody what we're doing before we get completely off the rails. Okay. You said off the top of the show that, as always, I join you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I do my very best to join you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I was not here on Tuesday, and I want to thank Andrew for filling in for me. I was on a very important story.
You were.
In Central Alberta. I was off covering a barbershop rebellion owned by like the little barbershop that decided to open up in defiance of the coronavirus restrictions on personal care industries was actually owned by Ralph Klein's niece. So former, late, great conservative premier, the guy who got us completely out of debt, Ralph Klein, his niece is someone who is defying Jason Kenney's lockdown. So I wanted to be there for that. So that's where I was on Tuesday morning. I had to leave very early so I couldn't do the live stream. It was
a great story, Sheila, by the way. And how great is it that that was a Ralph Klein relative? And how much do you miss Ralph Klein in 2021?
Every day. When I see that, like, the debt clock just ticking up and up and up, and we're spending extra money on healthcare workers who are working in largely empty hospitals, and surgeries are being canceled, and I just think, where's Ralph? The ghost of Ralph Klein could do a better job right now. Anyway, I should tell everybody what I'm doing here.
That's right.
So this is the daily live stream. It's every day or every weekday, I guess, noon Eastern or 10 a.m. out here in God's country in Alberta. We host an hour of live chit chat talking. You never know where the show's going to go. We talk about the news of the day, and I think it's a great opportunity for me, especially out here, because I don't work in the office, so I'm not around the rest of my Rebel colleagues. It's a great way for us to feel connected to each other, but it's also a way for us to connect to our viewers and for our viewers to connect with each other, because there's the live chat, which is something that you don't see on mainstream media broadcasts. They don't want you to make a comment. They don't want to hear from you. They just want your money taken from you by Justin Trudeau and paid to them for stuff that you don't watch anyways. So there's the live chat. You can talk to each other in there, but you can also support the work that we do through something called a super chat, which, if you go to the bottom of the live chat, click on the little button, throw some money in there. You can leave a question, a query, a comment, a topic, a story idea, an insult, compliment. I prefer one over the other. And it gives you the opportunity to support the work that we do completely willingly. So we'll never have the government take money from you to give to us. We would never take money from Justin Trudeau. If you want to support us out of your own free will and the goodness of your heart, now's your chance. And it gives you a chance to sort of take the show in the direction that you'd like it to go.
And you know, Sheila, you made a hilarious comment in the morning meeting today about CBC getting more money from the Justin Trudeau Liberals for doing less work because they've scaled back things during the pandemic. No news to report on these days, folks. Kind of a slow news day. Is the National Cat Show on right now or something?
They quit doing local news during the pandemic when the entire country is comprised of these local patchworks of coronavirus regulations. Like, news has never been more local during the pandemic because things are different from community to community to community. And CBC is like, you know what? You were just going to cover Justin Trudeau's daily 15 minutes of talking points from outside of Rideau Cottage. That's what we're going to do.
100%. And maybe that's a great segue for our first item. It's a report that just premiered about an hour ago, Sheila.
Yes.
You know, we turn back the clock to late June, early July, folks. And I know our boss, Ezra Levant, he has called this video, or actually the original video, perhaps the best video and the most important video in our almost 6-year history, because it was venturing into the town square, literally the town square, Nathan Phillips Square, folks, that had been occupied by this ragtag group of hooligans branding themselves Afro-Indigenous Rising. There seem to be more white people than, you know, black or Indigenous people, but I guess it's what you identify with or as these days, Sheila.
Anybody can be anything, friend. Anybody can be. If Jonathan Yaniv can be a woman, anybody can be anything.
And what happened, folks, is that not only did the media turn a blind eye to this, when they did venture down, they were cheerleaders for this group. It was a filthy tent city occupation where more than, I think it was 11 sections of the trespass law were broken. And when we ventured down there, just to report, we literally endured physical assaults by this group, and then security and even police trespassing us. I love that word, trespassing, making it a verb, because evidently our presence there was, you know, a trigger for these gender studies snowflakes. So we're the bad guys, not them. And to tell you what a great boss we have, folks, Ezra Levant does not bend the knee. When he saw Andrew in the morning get booted off the square by the thugs, and when he saw me in the afternoon getting escorted off the square by the police under threat of arrest, no. That isn't going to happen. Not in the public square. You know, the tail does not wag the dog. And at great expense, because I'm talking about, what was it, 8 security guards we needed to hire, Sheila, plus a lawyer, we went back to reclaim the square, to do some journalism about this unbelievable, I'll call it a gang of thugs. And no, folks, I'm not exaggerating. When you see the video, you tell me if their behavior is thuggish or not. And
sorry, David, I just want to interrupt you here for a quick second because I want to say it before I forget. It's not just Ezra. There's a culture at this company that Ezra has fostered. And that is when Ezra said, the hell, we're getting kicked off the square. We're going back. We're bringing lawyers and bodyguards.
Yep.
Our back office team, they're like, we're coming too.
Yep.
I'm coming too. I'm coming too. So while you see us on camera, they call us on-camera talent, but I'm not sure quite what the talent is. We're just standing in front of a camera. We have a whole team of people who are working in our office every day or on the other side of the camera from us who said, you're not kicking our team members off the square. We're going to. And so I just want to thank everybody in the office who didn't actually have to be there that day, but went there anyway in solidarity. And I think that goes back to the culture that Ezra's created at the company. Sorry to interrupt.
Great point, Sheila. It was almost all hands on deck that day at considerable risk because these people were getting away with all Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, and some of our people have the bruises to prove it. And also, you know, Efren and Mocha, who put in so many hours after the fact editing this great video. I think you said it best once, Sheila, yourself. We just don't deserve them. They are, these
so
young videographers and video editors are so talented and so dedicated and so hardworking, and they put in a beautiful report. But that was then, and this is now, because we got a hold, folks, of a document. You could do arm curls with it. It's so many pages. And what it was a dossier, if you can imagine, where essentially it was all this chatter from bureaucrats to bureaucrats about the Afro-Indigenous tent city occupation and what they could do about it. Oh, no, not about removing them, which they eventually did. And I think it was our video that finally shamed the city into having the actual real police come and say, beat it. But the chatter, folks, by the City Hall bureaucrats and politicians were, how can we limit freedom of speech? I swear to God, they were looking to limitations or even banning reporting on what is, like I said before, literally the town square. It was an eyeball-raising report. I went through every single page. It took hours. It is incredible. I think before I go on, Sheila, maybe Mr. Producer can run a clip, and that will set the table. Recently got our hands on almost 300 pages of information pertaining to our June visit to City Hall, thanks to a Freedom of Information request that we submitted to the City of Toronto. Folks, it's shocking. You know, little did we know when we were covering the squatters' shakedown of the square that the City of Toronto was making use of surveillance. No, they were not surveying the squatters, but us, I swear. I have in my hand the entire dossier. You know, folks, thankfully, Canada is a nation full of trees. Look at the size of this sucker. You could do arm curls with it. It might look like an early draft of War and Peace, but it is instead merely a report on the day we ventured to City Hall to cover the illegal occupation. And it becomes clear that such coverage was not appreciated, at least not by the bureaucracy behind those iconic Twin Towers. Indeed, most of these pages outline bureaucrats writing memos to other bureaucrats. They literally deem our brief visit to the square as being an illicit incursion onto public property, all the while constantly referring to the squatters' camp, which was violating 11 sections of the Trespass Act, as a so-called peaceful protest. Now, before I go any further, and because the camera does not lie, check out this encounter with the peaceful protesters and riddle me this. Does this behavior meet your benchmark of peaceful?
How are you?
You tell me, my friend.
I don't know. You look.
Sounds like we're all pretty sick, aren't we?
Get out of here.
We're all sick, my friend.
Get out of here, man.
Touch me.
Give us space.
Don't f***ing touch me.
Give us
I'm in a
space.
public square.
What the hell?
Come on!
Ouch. But again, I need... Yeah, oh, and by the way, the lady lying on the ground screaming, she fell by herself, folks. She's one of the, I can't remember her name now, Sheila, maybe you can conjure it up. She was one of the organizers. This group raised almost 50 grand on GoFundMe. And all the money, of course, went to Afro-Indigenous causes, such as that particular woman staying at the Sheraton Hotel, where I believe at the time rooms were starting at $279 per night. That performance was something that would make Meryl Streep blush. I mean, that's an Oscar-winning performance of her pretending that she's hurt somehow. I mean, it was ridiculous when you just saw our own cameraman Efren getting slugged by that thug. So, as I said earlier, in light of that, you would think if there was going to be any kind of dossier coming out, Sheila, because I know you, like everybody else here at Rebel News, we believe in law and order. It would be something along the lines of, how do we prevent a violent group of thugs from commandeering the city square, and so that this never happens in the future? But instead, it was about our, what did they call it? An illicit incursion. That's what the city of Toronto calls the practice of journalism. An illicit incursion. What is this? North Korea? No, we're allowed to go there. Any citizen's allowed to go there. But because we will, upset the thugs. It's almost like, Sheila, the old school when it came to rape. Well, she was showing cleavage and she had a high hemline. She brought it upon herself. That's what they're kind of embracing. And so you see this, chatter going back and forth. How embarrassing is that? And maybe we can play this clip later. I cornered John Tory by chance. He was at a press conference with Premier Ford, who pretended he had no knowledge of it. But Sheila, your thoughts?
Well, he obviously had knowledge of it because we have emails showing that his staff were talking about it at the very same time that you're asking him about it.
Yep.
Like, that's what these documents show. So he obviously did have knowledge of it. But, I think it's pretty darn creepy, the police state that's going on around Nathan Phillips Square there, that John Tory's telling you he doesn't know anything that's going on down there, but simultaneously they've got surveillance footage of us and this encyclopedia dossier of our staff. They're taking pictures of Andrew Chapados like he's the Bigfoot walking through the bushes. These black and white photographs of Andrew. I mean, it's really creepy. And what did they say? We were causing a disturbance.
Yeah.
That's what they said. Our journalism was causing a disturbance. We were disturbing the pack of jackals that were sleeping in cheap tents down in the public square. By the way, what's wrong with those people? Why are they so off kilter? I mean, the protesters, you go near them, they lose their balance and fall over. Like, they're dropping like flies all over the place. But I mean, just to even I watched your video when you first did it and several versions of the video. By the way, Mocha, videographer, you did an incredible job putting that together with all the elements and everything. Makes it very interesting and very easy to see exactly what David was trying to tell us there. But the idea that the city is victim blaming journalists for causing a disturbance to the tent city that has popped up right on their doorstep. What planet is this? John Tory should be absolutely ashamed. And if there were a conservative challenger to John Tory in Toronto, this should absolutely be an election issue.
Oh,
I doubt it will, though.
Great point, because John Tory laughably describes him as a conservative. He did run for the Progressive Conservatives, the provincial party. Sheila, he's worked on federal conservative election campaigns without much success. But, it's amazing. A couple of other things pop up, folks. You'll see in the city's report that the faces are blurred. Not our faces at Rebel News. No, those are in living color. It's the faces of the criminals, and they are criminals, are breaking 11 sections of the Trespass Act, and they're physically violent because they don't want to violate their privacy. But they can violate our privacy. And Sheila mentioned these little, dossier reports about all our staff there. And this is how detailed it is. Hair color, eye color, height, weight, By the way, guys, in case you were guesstimating, I'm a bit of a fat ass, 225 pounds. I'm blaming that on the gyms being closed, okay? So, and Mr. Producer just said he believes I mispronounced 250. Not quite there yet, but I mean, why is that relevant, Sheila? It's like, were we headed to a police lineup?
What kind of dossier did they have on the vertigo-stricken protesters that were sleeping in cheap tents? As Ezra says, urine-soaked sleeping bags in the public square. What kind of information had they collected on them? I would guess that it is far less detailed than what they had collected on our staff. I think at the time, Andrew was relatively new to the company, relatively new, like speaking as like you and I go back almost to, I don't go back to the beginning, but you do. But Andrew's sort of new to the company recently, and yet they had a complete dossier on him. Very creepy. And again, to what kind of government in Canada, in the Western world, in the free world, uses the word illicit incursion to describe the act of journalism? They should be ashamed. And
what kind of bureaucrat, such as Bruce Hawkins, puts beside his surname on some of the correspondence, he/him? Because, I mean, one thing you'll never accuse the city of Toronto of doing, folks, is misgendering someone. Let me tell you, Bruce Hawkins wants you to know he's a he, him, as opposed to a she, her, a ze-zer, an it, them. I don't know. But, the way it drips of this woke political correctness. And I got to say, Sheila, it just shows you the kind of progressivism that is in the city of Toronto, much like so many cities in the U.S. that we saw this summer where the riots were, Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle. The term mostly peaceful protest, as there's a raging inferno and the reporter virtually has to duck to avoid a Molotov cocktail hitting him in the head. Yeah, mostly peaceful protest. And by the way, with all the finger pointing that's being done right now about the insurrection in Washington a week ago, it's kind of funny how, did you ever see Joe Biden, did you ever see Kamala Harris denounce their paramilitary organizations on the ground there, such as Antifa and Black Lives Matter? Oh, no. Nothing to see here. There was a mild condemnation by Biden in a statement once it was all coming to an end, but nothing to see here. And meanwhile, here we have them screaming about Donald Trump ordering domestic terrorists onto the mall. Believe me, folks, if Donald Trump was to order the members of Trump Nation to storm the Capitol, it wouldn't be the dozens you saw. It would probably be 100,000, because they are so beholden to him. He never instigated that disgraceful riot we saw on the Capitol last week. But it's all forgotten in the media, isn't it, Sheila? How the Democrats were silent as cities in America burned in the summer.
Not just silent, refused to answer when journalists put the question to them. Maybe Justin can dig that up. I'll get to Super Chats. I know, you reminded me. But in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind, Justin, maybe digging up Kian asking AOC to condemn the violence on their side. And she just wouldn't. And Republicans, conservatives all around were saying, you know what? Don't be violent. Don't trespass. Don't storm anything. Don't do that. That's not legitimate peaceful protest. We're all saying that, but the Democrats and the left, they don't think that. They think violence is justified. They think destroying somebody's property isn't violence. They keep their mouths shut when confronted with someone asking them to denounce the violence. And they'll even fundraise to get the violent offenders out of jail the way Kamala Harris did.
100%.
Kamala, I don't know how to say her name, and I don't.
Who cares?
Who cares?
And Sheila, I mean, the lack of media. Wouldn't you say that's a pretty major story? A violent occupation of the. I mean, that is the iconic picture of Toronto. It's that and the CN Tower, I would argue. You know, City Hall, that beautiful piece of 1960s architecture, those twin towers, the reflecting pool, the arches, and that square was occupied by violent people. If you were a family, they made things tough for you. There was a report once of a man with a sword walking around. Nothing to see here. And yet the media, they didn't think this was a story. And when they were reporting on it, they were on the side of the thugs. I remember News Talk 1010, the incredibly woke talk radio station on the air here in Toronto. They had Mayor Tory on for his weekly grilling. Well, not really. And when this came up, because of the event that occurred with us, the question wasn't, Mr. Mayor, are you going to use the police now to finally get these thugs off the square? No, the question was, Mr. Mayor, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't even remember the jabroni's name, the host, is there a way we can work around the law that will allow the Afro-Indigenous rising protests to remain there? They're cheerleading them, Sheila. As our boss likes to say about the media, the watchdogs have become the lapdogs.
Yeah, I think the police in Toronto at the time were too busy guarding the cherry blossoms to make sure that people weren't sniffing them, and somehow they would contract the coronavirus from being outside sniffing a cherry tree. Just watch your cherry trees blossom on live stream. That was John Tory's the worst. He's probably, I don't know, Nenshie's bad, Mayor Don Iveson in Edmonton's bad, but boy, John Tory is probably Canada's worst mayor.
Oh, watch what you're, Sheila, I caution you. Watch what you're saying. You know they have their spy cameras and their listening devices and their photographers with super zoom lenses. They might be monitoring your line right now. And Bruce Hawkins, him, might be sending out a memo right now saying, how do we stop that uppity Sheila Gunn Reid from running her mouth about the mayor? So be careful, Sheila. Big Brother is listening.
Yeah, and by the way, about Bruce, are people really mistaking Bruce for the wrong gender with a name like Bruce? Are people confused? Give me a break, you virtue signaling clown.
I mean, you're right. It's not like a name such as Leslie, right? That can go one way or the other. Right?
You know, like.
Or Pat. And by the way, folks, go to Google and call up the trailer for the Saturday Night Live movie, Pat. It was a box office disaster. I never did get to see it. I think it closed in 1 week or 2 weeks.
Could never get made these days.
Oh, but the trailer is so funny. It's called It's Pat. And you know what, Sheila, I'll tell you, I won't put you on the spot. Maybe you've never seen the trailer. I looked at it, and this is only something from the 90s. And I thought, the very idea that you could make a comedy today, right, about somebody misgendering somebody, it would die a quick death on the pitch table. But back in the 90s, you could actually have fun with that. But in cancel culture of today, not a chance.
No. Okay, Justin said he has that clip of Kian confronting AOC.
Significance. It's almost as if...
Stand by, folks.
Yeah.
Justin needs a second, Sheila. So
okay, so maybe I'll tackle a couple super chats, and Justin, you can just stop me when you get to it.
Okay.
Oh, he's good now. Okay.
Will you condemn Antifa for the attack in Washington?
We'll be making statements.
It's easy to condemn a terrorist attack. Will you be condemning Antifa?
We'll be making statements.
They firebombed an American facility. Will you condemn them?
Excuse us, we have to get to the minute.
Will you be condemning them? Do you feel like you have some responsibility in the attack with your rhetoric about concentration camps? Are you responsible? Do you feel ashamed?
Ooh, cat got your tongue?
Yeah. An American ICE facility was firebombed by Antifa after she calls ICE facilities, immigration detention facilities, concentration camps.
Yep.
which is minimizing the Holocaust, which is
Disgraceful.
pretty gross.
Yep.
It helps actual Nazis, by the way, because it normalizes what they did. But she just kept her mouth shut. And did you notice there's journalists all around, cameramen all around. Who's the only person asking a tough question? Ian Bexty from Canada.
Oh,
so
Sheila,
the problem with the media is all over, isn't it?
No, that's the mainstream media in the U.S. with few exceptions, like reporters at Fox News. But it is the Praetorian Guard. These aren't people. I mean, where are the Woodwards and Bernsteins? Where is the investigative reporting? Where is, for goodness sakes, a hardball question? They are in the tank with the Dems. There's no difference between most of the mainstream media in the U.S. and the Democrat Party. That isn't the media anymore. That's a public relations firm for the Dems.
Yes. Let's get through some of these super chats because I don't know if my wrestling video's on the list today. I'm not sure if it was. Sorry, Justin, I didn't read your notes. No, it doesn't have to be. I'll just read the super chat, so we'll just keep going through whatever notes Justin said for me to read that I didn't read. Okay, Michael Lefebvre, $5. I like you both, but Ezra should stick to the noon show. Well, Michael, thank you for liking us. Unfortunately for you, though, until Ezra removes us from this time slot for doing a bad job or whatever, Ezra also has Canada's largest independent news company to run. And so he can't do 5 days a week. It's just hard.
And that's an important point to make, Sheila. The reason why Ezra has surrendered the Tuesday and Thursday live streams, it's not that he doesn't want to slack off, and go to a cafe. Well, you can't go to a cafe. It's because he is so busy with so many things, the journalism part of his job description, plus running this company. And he needs the time. And I don't know anyone that works harder than Ezra Levant.
He's sending me emails sometimes about work, and I know it's 1 a.m. where he is, but his mind is still going.
Yep.
Just trying to fight for freedom all the time. Pink Phoenix Nails. Hi, Catherine. Good morning, Rebels. Unicorn emoji. Heart Sheila, Heart David, and producer Justin.
Wow.
There it is.
You know what? For some reason, Sheila, I think the City Hall bureaucrat Bruce Hawkins, him, would like a unicorn emoji.
Unicorns are for everybody. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Grumpy Old Gargyle gives us $20. Trudeau has a dairy in Quebec somewhere, and he invited the Conservatives there. With their heads up his butt, the wind he did cut. Now, they also reek of his French derriere. Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. Mike Mayer, Mike from People vs. Predators. I see that one of the cases that you guys have been following, this serial predator, but also this serial recidivist offender who keeps getting released and offending while he's out on bail. Curtis Poberan, he's allegedly offended one more time while out on release. Anyways, Mike gives us $5, says, keep standing up for small businesses and freedom, Rebels, People versus Predators. Yeah, Mike, I noticed you got an illegal haircut. Looks good.
You know what, Sheila? I'm struck by what you just said in the context of the crazy year we live in. And 2021 is off to such a crazy start. Yeah. I swear, Sheila, we're going to look back at 2020 as the good old days. But imagine that. Pedophiles, child molesters, always getting a second chance, always getting their freedom. And yet, if you're running a restaurant illegally and serving people that want to buy your product, you're handcuffed, thrown in jail, demounted.
They send the riot cops. Yeah, they send the riot cops to deal with restaurants. And like in the case of Curtis Poberan, allegedly, he's offended 3 times in the calendar year and repeatedly released out on bail into the community.
I don't get it, Sheila.
Proud Boys Calgary gives us $2.79. Uganda Knuckles. Do you know Dawei? Ben's Twitter. Adam Bala, $20. In Windsor, Ontario, we are now just today. We are forced to wear masks and not allowed to wear face shields. Wow. That's claustrophobia inducing.
So Sheila, when did the science change? We're always told that these politicians, they always say we're beholden to the science, and somehow the science, maybe a week ago, was okay with face shields, and now it's not. What cosmic action occurred in the universe that makes face shields PPE non grata?
I guess the same science that changed when they said masks were ineffective, then they said they were effective. And then they said we all had to wear them. And then if you couldn't wear a mask, then it was face shields. But now face shields are ineffective. And so now you have to go back to pieces of fabric over your face. That's the science.
Yeah. And the same science that said when there were mass gatherings of Black Lives Matter protesters, that's okay because the virus is very social conscious. It's all about equity and justice and, anti-racialization bias. So that was okay. The science said that too. They're just making it up as they go along, aren't they, Sheila?
Yeah. I especially like seeing the cops and not the cops, the police forces. I won't say the individual cops, because in my experience, especially in Calgary, there are some very good individual cops who obviously don't want any part of Nenchi's enforcement of the lockdown restrictions in front of City Hall. But when you see police forces issuing statements in support of Black Lives Matter protests and police officers, individual ones, taking a knee in a crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters and are now, a few months later, arresting lockdown protesters for not social distancing, we've got a real problem with political policing in this country.
Oh, 100%. And don't forget that the ex-chief of police in Toronto was also one of those individuals bending the knee.
Yeah, that's true. Chris Wood gives us I skipped one. Jeffrey Cap, $20. The Christian Heritage Party is the only party that stands up to intolerant liberalism in Canada. The only party willing to hold the Tories' feet to the fire. Chris Wood gives us $6.99. You have to give credit to the government for figuring out how to tax the air. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Therese Pollard gives us $5. Go get them, bigly. We will. G Major, $5. Little do we know, everybody in chat is also on a list stored in Justin's filing cabinet. Justin Trudeau or Justin, Mr. Producer Justin? It's in... Mr. Producer says it's in his filing cabinet with a big heart.
You know what, Sheila? I'll tell you whose information is on whose lists, and it's kind of dire given the, the events of recent days, is big tech. When all of you, and I'm part of that, I did it too, when you signed over your consent for them to take your information, they've got a dossier. They know who you are, what you believe in, who you support. And as we've seen, Sheila, with President Trump, I mean, my goodness, if you can cancel culture and deplatform and censor the President of the United States of America, they can do it to anybody.
And it's not just big tech. I just did a Fight the Fine story with a severely normal guy from Manitoba, just like the most normal guy doing the most normal thing. Buying groceries at the Co-op, one of my favorite grocery stores, because they're very pro Western small business. And it's a lot of times in small towns, it's your only grocery store, it's your only gas station, it's the Co-op. And so he goes to buy his groceries without a mask because he's mask exempt. They let him buy his groceries. He does it twice. Then the cops show up at his house and give him a ticket for not wearing a mask because the grocery store called the cops, gave the police the surveillance footage, and matched the surveillance footage time code up to the register, and pulled his loyalty card number that he used at the time to get his name to send the police to his house to make sure that he got a ticket. And I'm not sure what he did wrong to the store. He paid for his groceries. He's perfectly healthy. He didn't infect anybody. But now you're getting a ticket, and your grocery store, your favorite grocery store, is participating in this surveillance state by turning over your information to the cops. And who knew that their Co-op number would be used to make sure that they got a ticket for not wearing a mask? It's insane.
Sheila, how perversely hilarious is that? His loyalty card. did him in. I'm loyal to you. I'm bringing my business to you. Oh, yeah. When Carl Malden used to say for American Express, membership has its privileges. Now, I guess for Co-op, membership has its punishment.
Yeah. I mean, it's just who would ever imagine when you're signing up for your Co-op card, and if you're a good Albertan, you know your Co-op number off by heart.
Wow.
Who ever imagined that it would be used by the police to give you a ticket for not wearing a piece of fabric over your face in the grocery store?
In fact, Sheila, another perverse angle here is that this is the polar opposite of what happened to that small new age shop in Newmarket that we're covering called The Point of Light. They opened illegally, and for several days, no police, no bylaw, and I can understand why, because bylaw, I know they are, maybe things are different with the pandemic, but typically they act on a complaint. And The Point of Light had a lady come in before Christmas, did all her Christmas shopping, got it all bagged, and by the way, the people at The Point of Light, they are such wonderful,
nice,
beautiful people.
Yeah.
And then she says on the way out, I don't think what you're doing is right. I'm going to be putting in a complaint to the city. And sure enough, the next day, bylaw was there. I mean, basically, she forced their hand to hand out tickets. Can you imagine what kind of a COVID Karen you have to be to make sure you and your family are taken care with Christmas presents, because these merchants have the bravery to reopen their shop, and then you, in some kind of, virtue signaling exercise, call the cops on them once you're taken care of? I can't think of a worse possible example I've come across during this pandemic than that, Sheila.
I would have that lady's picture on the door.
Yeah.
Like a shoplifter or a dine and dasher or like a gas and dasher. I would make sure that her picture was on the door so that everybody knew who she was. And I would make sure that she knew she was not welcome in my store. She doesn't know their circumstances, why they feel compelled to reopen. She doesn't know if it's out of this civil disobedience to a bad law or if it's out of just sheer survival. She doesn't know, and she didn't care as long as she got what was hers.
And meanwhile, the Co-op, which is legally allowed to open, is taking no risk whatsoever. They feel emboldened enough to rat out a customer. So we have customers ratting out merchants, merchants ratting out customers. How do you like the society we're in right now in 2021, folks?
I never got to go to East Berlin before the wall fell, but they brought East Berlin to us, didn't they?
Oh, man.
Okay, let's keep going. Chris Lynch gives us $2. Last night I was removed from O'Toole's Zoom Q&A. I think I saw the email that you sent to us at Rebel News, and you had Make America Great Again flag, I think, or a pro-Trump flag in the background of your Zoom chat. And I think you were removed for that reason, if I'm recalling the whole scenario correctly. You
know what, Sheila? I believe it, because we were talking off air. There's a movement now to permanently edit the Home Alone movie where Donald Trump makes a cameo. So you know what? I want to give a shout out to the CBC for being so ahead of the curve and censoring that months ago. I mean, who knew that they were ahead of the studio that even made the movie in terms of the cancel culture of that film. So the idea that the O'Toole camp going, oh my goodness, there's a MAGA logo there? Oh, can't have that.
Yeah, that's CBC. They're early adopters of bad ideas, aren't they? Connor McGovern gives us $20, and he says he does all things through Christ who strengthens me. I noticed that you didn't put the whole quote in there, so I just filled in the blanks for you. Zerberus 18 gives us $5. That's my problem. Okay. If liberals can pose as conservatives, maybe it's time for conservatives to pose as liberals, get voted in and do the opposite of liberal policies. That's the thing, though. I think conservatives, we tend to, and it's one of our best qualities, but it's one of the reasons why we lose a lot. And that's because we hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Yep.
And so we're not inclined to do those things. It's just how it is. G Major gives us $5. Why even vote Conservative if I live in the city? Liberals always win the cities. I'm not excited for the next federal elections. I'm not either. It sounds like the Liberals are trying to get into election readiness mode with their latest cabinet shuffle. And I tell you, Aaron O'Toole's probably going to lose 20 seats unless he does something drastic to change the direction of the party. And I think kowtowing to the CBC and the cancel culture bullies, people actually, he said that he would resist pressure from, but he continues to kowtow to them. Unless Aaron O'Toole does something very drastic, that party's going to burn to the ground. Maybe that's what it needs. Maybe that's what it needs. Like, maybe that's why reform had to happen. And we had to kill the old progressive conservative federal party. Maybe that's what needs to happen. I don't know. But Justin Trudeau is so dumb and so beatable, and yet we continue to lose.
I fear you're right, Sheila. And the viewer made the comment, what's the point of voting Conservative if I live in a city that always goes Liberal? I don't think this is a urban-rural matter. What I would say is, what's the point of voting Conservative if Conservatives aren't Conservatives, that they're liberal light? That's the problem that we had with Andrew Scheer, the loser. And now we have Aaron O'Toole adopting the losing strategy of the loser to go ahead again and thinking there'll be a different outcome. I tend to agree. I think it's going to be a majority Trudeau government when the election is called. I got a hunch it's going to be late spring, early summer. I want Aaron O'Toole and the Conservatives to win, but I can't see them winning based on what they're doing. And by the way, if Mr. O'Toole is watching, or any Conservative, I'm open-minded. If you can change, I've got a place back in my heart for you. In fact, I think, Sheila, that's part of our job at Rebel News, is to blow the whistle on Conservatives that aren't acting in a conservative fashion, to bring them around to what the grassroots want.
Yeah, I think every Conservative Party needs someone to the right of them, because all the forces acting on them right now that they listen to, as opposed to the people, their voters, but all the voices that they're listening to right now are on the left, dragging them left. The CBC, the mainstream media, the Liberals, cancel culture, academia, they're on the left, and they want that Conservative Party to get dragged further to the left. Not because they plan to vote for them, but just because they want to alienate them from their base.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to serve as a gut check for a conservative politician to remind them, actually, no, we're connected to your base. We listen to your base, and this is what they're saying you need to do. And that's why, sorry, go ahead.
And you know what's so shameful, Sheila, is that in the summer, before Aaron O'Toole was the leader, he was the guy saying, oh, no, I'm not into cancel culture. I'm not into censorship. I'm not into this and that. And then he gets the title. And the moment the mean girls at the CBC or the Toronto Star call him on the carpet, this guy bends the knee. This is an ex-military man? Are you kidding? Can you imagine being led into battle with this guy? Unbelievable. Well, and you know, this idea that we aren't reasonable or good journalists, give me a break. Drea had a very wonderful interview with Michael Cooper about medical assistance in dying and how it's being abused right now. And I had, I think, a fantastic interview with Arnold Viersen, who's leading the charge against how big tech is enabling sex trafficking. And they're using Canada as the place to do it. If you want to talk to Conservatives about issues that matter to Conservatives, you better talk to us. And the MPs are, maybe their leader should start too, because it seems to me that the MPs are a heck of a lot braver than their leader is. And that's really not how it should be. Yeah. But I wanted to point out this thing that we're doing. We want to know your opinion. Yes.
We want to talk to the Conservative base. We want to talk to our viewers, and we want to ask you a question, and we want you to give us an honest response, to send us a message, but also to send the Conservative Party a message. Just be honest. Tell us what you feel. We want to know, should Aaron O'Toole ban should Aaron O'Toole and the Conservative Party ban Rebel News? And you can take our survey at banrebelnews.com. I know it's provocative, but we want you to answer it honestly. Just a yes or no and your postal code. But according to the Globe and Mail, it sounds like Aaron O'Toole doesn't want to talk to us anymore. And it's related to Ezra's exclusive interview that a spokesperson said Ezra could attribute directly to Aaron O'Toole. Once we published it as an exclusive interview, the Mean Girls got mad because we did an interview with the leader of the party and they said you shouldn't talk to those people. Even though the interview was about the China files and Ezra Levant is the journalist who broke the China files story.
And Sheila, I want to make it clear, I don't think this poll that we have posted is an attack on the Conservative Party of Canada. I think it's a helping hand to save Conservatives from themselves from going down that disastrous 2019 path that Andrew Scheer led them on. That is our initiative. That is our strategy with this, folks. Will they listen? We'll see.
We're trying to help them help themselves here.
Yep.
Now, are they going to listen? That remains to be seen. I'll just read from the text of this. It's written in Ezra's voice, just so you know. So Ezra published the interview, and Ezra's right. Aaron O'Toole gave some great responses, but then the Liberal Party and the CBC freaked out about it. And just hours later, O'Toole told the Globe and Mail that he wouldn't have anything more to do with us. Even though we broke the story, the China Files story, we published everything word for word. Aaron O'Toole sounded good in it. So what changed? It looks like O'Toole is afraid of the media party and just decided to do what they told him to do, to disavow us. And this only helps the Liberals. It cuts Aaron O'Toole off from 1.4 million Rebel News viewers who make up his vote base. How does it help O'Toole, especially when we're headed into a spring election?
Yeah.
So we want to know what you think at home.
And another even though point, Sheila, back in the summertime when the Independent Press Gallery, of which we are a member, put on the leader debate, the nominees debate, unfortunately, Leslyn Lewis had an earache, and so she couldn't attend. And Peter MacKay, out of earache solidarity, decided he wouldn't attend either. But Aaron O'Toole was there, Derek Sloan was there, and we were there. I got to ask questions of Mr. O'Toole, and he answered them. So what changed? What have we changed since the summer, Sheila, in terms of our policies and how we cover news? Were we involved in some kind of scandal? No. So you're right. The Mean Girls got to Aaron O'Toole. Aaron O'Toole was not truthful, or he was spineless when he said that he wasn't going to be led around by the nose like Scheer was, and he's embracing the Scheer strategy, and that is sheer madness.
Oh, we've got the results here so far. So only 1%, less than 60 responses to our poll say that Aaron O'Toole should ban Rebel News.
Holy landslide, Batgirl.
Well, and as Ezra points out, we want O'Toole to win the next election.
Yeah.
We don't want Justin Trudeau in power. We don't. But as Ezra says, any leader who lets the media and the other parties boss him around and tell him who he can and can't talk to, well, that's not much of a leader, and he's not going to do well in a bruising campaign. No. It is not going to save him from the CBC. You're just going to alienate the base, which is exactly what the CBC wants to do anyway. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to lose 20 seats, cut yourself off from your biggest donors, your bulk of your volunteers, and your consistent vote base, well, I guess keep doing what you're doing.
And you know, Sheila, for all the kowtowing Andrew Scheer did to the CBC, what did it get him? Well, it got him got the party a lawsuit on some stupid trademark infringement of using a clip from a debate televised by the CBC. It got the supposed scandal of Andrew Scheer maybe passing himself off as an insurance broker when he didn't have a brokerage license. Ooh, holy Watergate. Are you kidding? He did that. Meanwhile, the blackface saying, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
So, again, the proof is in the proverbial pudding. They're not your friends. If they find anything, any weak underbelly, past indiscretion by O'Toole, it's leading the news. Aaron, I hope you know that.
Well, and right after Aaron O'Toole tells the Globe and Mail, oh, no, I'm not going to talk to Rebel News again, guess who sends out a fundraising letter? The Liberals send out a fundraising letter saying, oh, my good gosh, look at Aaron O'Toole. He's been talking to dangerous alt-right racist Rebel News. So what did disavowing your base get you, Aaron O'Toole? It got you in a fundraiser. If you had just said, I'll just do an interview with whoever wants an interview with me because I'm here to be the leader of all Canadians, just not the ones the CBC wants me to be the leader of. That's what he should have said. He didn't do that. And by the way, I get a real tough time being called racist, dangerous, alt-right by the Liberal Party, the party of blackface, and the party of firing Selena Cesar Chavanez or Chavez Chavanez. I'm saying it backwards, one of those ways. But they fired her, a black woman who spoke truth to power. And you know what we do? We hire them. Hi, Drea. Hope you're watching.
Yep.
So, our leader didn't do blackface. Our leader, the Conservatives. He's not my leader. My leader's Ezra Levant. But, I mean, the Conservatives leader never did blackface. So how dare the Liberals send out a fundraising letter calling anybody racist, but especially us? We've got a racially diverse company, an ethnically diverse company, and a religiously diverse company. I guarantee you we've got more diversity than the Liberal Party. That's for darn sure.
Well, Sheila, if Aaron O'Toole goes down this course, he will flame out. We will have at the end of this year yet another Conservative leader, the third one within 3 years. And I guess career advice for Aaron O'Toole, hey, go to Toronto City Hall. They like guys like you that don't like us. You can be part of Bruce Hawkins, he, him. By the way, you might want to put that on your name, Aaron, he, him, because Aaron can be a girl's name, I think, sometimes. So just some helpful advice for you there.
That actually would make more sense than Bruce. But anyway, we've got to get to these super chats because Justin's whispering in my ear.
Okay. Moistly?
Durfi or Dr. Fi gives us $5. Aside from CBC's $1.5 billion, I'm remembering Trudeau's media bailout of $600 million and still wondering what we get for it. Oh, you get those pieces in the Globe and Mail that do hit pieces on Conservatives, and that's what you get for it. You get Toronto Star writing stuff that you will never read. You get the National Post with their struggle sessions against Rex Murphy. Yeah. That's what you get. You get a press gallery in Alberta who holds witch trials for me and Kian so that we can't join, but we're there anyway. Sorry. That's what you get for $600 million in media bailout. You get a compliant media, but the viewer and the reader gets nothing that they ever want to consume. And so the vicious cycle continues. And
don't forget, Sheila, all the senior execs at Post Media for Christmas, they all got their bonuses. So again, folks, your tax dollars hard at work yet again.
Yep. And they'll never correct themselves. They'll never right the ship because they're protected from the market forces that require them to actually produce something people want to consume.
You got it.
Philip E. gives us $10. Sheila, is AHS not treating hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, nothing? If true, deaths are on their hands. Nurses Union has mandated a no-speak order. Doctors, same. Expose the lies, please. You know what? I am interested in knowing how much these doctors are making for their teleconference diagnosis conversations with people instead of actually seeing them in public. Because if they're making $200 to see somebody for 5 minutes on a computer, of course they're going to encourage the lockdowns, aren't they? I was thinking about that the other day. Maybe I'm drawing too many connections here, but I just think there's something to be said there. Mark Hecknar gives us $20. Thanks, David and Sheila. Love you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Benjamin Van Drunen gives us $10. Sheila, so right when you close out the gun show, don't let the government tell you that you've had too much to think. Would make a great T-shirt for the Rebel store. Yes, it would. Let's write that down. By the way, the Rebel News store, it's still open. It's still giving her. We're still putting up new designs every single day. So take a peek on over there. I think it's rebelnewsstore.com. And there's new designs. Oh, I love that Google Gulag one.
Oh, I do too. And the Facebook fascist, that looks so good. And that's parody. By the way, Sheila, is parody still allowed?
No.
Satire? Is Big Tech going to cancel that?
Stop. Look at that. Justin Trudeau and the stars in his eyes. Justin Trudeau. Trudeau, no. I love that with the Chinese flag. Very risque.
Who came up with that design? That is spectacular. I got to get my credit card out myself. Folks, we don't have this stock right here at headquarters. We have to buy this stuff too, and it's worth buying. And
look, we're a small business. There's no freebies around here.
Yeah. That's the line I used.
One.
Socialist distancing. Remember that? Did somebody pick up on that?
Stay away from socialist 100 meters. Oh.
What was I thinking? I should have come up with a T-shirt. I love it. But even though that was my idea, even though I think I coined that, I'm going to buy that.
Yeah. Folks, stop. Folks, let's eat cherry cheesecake with King Ford.
That is just beautiful. Holy Marie Antoinette.
Very good. I haven't taken a poke around the store since just before Christmas, and it's completely changed again. I cannot encourage our viewers enough to head back to the store frequently at rebelnewsstore.com because, I'm surprised to see some of these designs, and I'm supposed to be CC'd on some of the conversations about the design. So things are changing so fast, and there's new stuff in there all the time. And I've got to spend a bunch of money after we get off the live stream.
And, and as we spoke about, Sheila, in case you're worried about really wearing your politics on your sleeve because you don't want to get into a confrontation with a liberalized Karen, there's always our little logo, the megahorn, and it's kind of like, as Ezra says, the secret handshake. Those in the know you're a Rebel supporter without the lunatic fringe getting triggered by the actual word rebel. So there you go.
Can we just stop right there? There's the I'm exempt t-shirt.
Yeah.
So we do have the I'm exempt buttons. If you see me out in the wild, ask me for one because I have a bunch in my purse at any given time. And you can see sort of the mask exemptions at maskexemption.ca. But this I'm exempt t-shirt, this is going to save you a lot of hassle because people will confront you if they think you're just being a prickly pear and not wearing a mask. But if you have a T-shirt that says I'm exempt, it's sort of like a stay away from me.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I've got a reason. My reason is none of your business. That's why I'm wearing this T-shirt. So if you want to avoid some hassle on the street, might I suggest that I'm exempt T-shirt?
Much like our little yellow buttons that we sell for $10, Sheila. It's kind of like in the wild, usually the venomous creatures are very brightly colored, which is sort of a early warning to the others. Don't mess with me. I sting, right. I bite, and you die. Right. So, but
it's like when those lizards put their frills up to scare you. That's what the I'm exempt button is.
Lots of super chats.
Okay, solid as a b-ball gives us $5. Black conservative, hello. Saw David downtown once, not a Trump supporter, but Rebel is quality news. Thank you very much. It's all about having the conversation. Happy New Year. Exactly. We just want to talk about things. And we're telling the other side of the story, that side that the CBC doesn't even want to engage with.
I think I remember our encounter. He ran across Yonge Street And I swear,
Careful.
Sheila, I thought I was going to get my ass kicked. And instead it was, hey, listen, we're huge Rebel fans. It's so good to meet you. I mean,
Oh.
I love getting that. I know, Sheila, we all do. And by the way, that is the vast majority of our encounters on the street. Sometimes I get a drive-by smear bomb, somebody muttering some, profane word under their breath. And but I never react violently or, belligerently to that, Sheila. If they call me a name, I always reach out to them. I say, why would you say that about me? And usually they just keep walking because they can't back up their slur. Anyways.
I do my best not to be that which they say I am, and that's profane, radical, hot-headed. But I almost never get somebody trying to tell me off in public. Usually I'm crossing the street with my camera equipment, leaving a protest, and it's like, Sheila! People are like screaming out of their car windows, and it's fun. It's fun to hear it in person. So if you see me out there in the wild again, just scream my name. Wave hello.
You know, I'll tell you, I know Justin wants us to get on, but
I know.
I'll just show you how crazy again the world is. At one of these Yahoo Nation protests, I think it was back in October, we're following the procession, and I'm walking down Yonge Street, and this beautiful woman in probably a $400,000 Range Rover is driving along, and she blew me a kiss. And I had this gut check, Sheila. I thought, back in high school when I had that used 74 Camaro, cruising Yonge Street for chicks and getting no positive response. And 35 years later, here's this gorgeous woman in an almost $500,000 automobile blowing me a kiss. Wow, like I said, the world is upside down in more ways than one, eh?
Who knew that all you needed to do to get the chicks was to wear a lady's bathing suit and a rainbow wig in a video, hey? Who knew? Okay, we got to keep going. And Crazy gives us $2. Alexandria O'Crazio has no feelings. Adam Bala gives us $20. Do you know any ways we can stand up to this or not comply with the mask mandate? Look, I can't advise you to break the law. I can't. But if you do get a ticket because you chose to break the COVID restrictions, might I suggest you reach out to us at fightthefines.com, where we will put you in touch with a top criminal lawyer at no cost to you to fight your ticket in court. I don't want you to pay the ticket. I want you to plead not guilty and then fight it as hard as you can. And if you'd like to help us do that, if you haven't yet received a ticket and maybe you don't plan on receiving a ticket, but you'd like to help those people who do fight back, you can donate at that same website. That's fightthefines.com. Let's keep going. Greg Graham, $5. I'm in Innisfail. Great haircut from Natalie. Natalie Klein.
It is
Not
a good
much.
do.
Not much, though. I support small businesses. Natalie Klein, Ralph Klein's niece, she opened her barbershop and she's just given her. Now, AHS, Alberta Health Services, did show up, and it looks to me like she got a notice to appear in court, like a summons. They didn't find her, but she's got a summons. And so now we're helping her through fightthefines.com, because we said, Natalie, we want you to do what you do, and that's give great haircuts and pay your bills, and we'll take care of the rest. So you just keep doing what you do, and we'll do what we do. David Appleyard, $68, $20 in a super chat. Thank you very much. Kay gives us $10. My grandfather served in World War II and taught me about it. I served and saw heroes save children in the battlefield in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Woke people have no idea how lucky they are to live in Canada. Fools. You know, I was just talking to a mixed martial arts fighter as part of our Fight the Fines cases, and he said the same thing. He said, I fought all over the world in like Myanmar and the United Arab Emirates, and his wife is from Russia, and he's like, we know what freedom is here, and we're lucky to have it, but we have to do something to hang on to it because it is quickly disappearing.
And thank you for your service, sir.
Yes, thank you. Benjamin Van Drunen, $5. Loyalty card used to turn you in. Textbook definition of betrayal. Yeah. Canada Now, News Now, Canada Independent Media, $20. It's Donald. That's Donald Smith. Jessica Yaniv got his ding dong chopped off. February 19th, 2021, Courtroom 101, Jessica Yaniv versus Kian. We'll make sure that Dre is there. I didn't know about Jonathan's latest health challenges, issues, corrections. I don't know, but that's interesting.
What pronouns in the school of Bruce Hawkins do we use for Yaniv? Is it everything? He, him, she, her, it, they, Zer?
Just roll the dice, Dave. Dr. $5. Are the people snitching on small businesses mostly customers, or is it possible a fair portion are just bureaucrats gaslighting? I think it's even worse. It's self-appointed Karens who see on Facebook people, like businesses are publishing on their Facebook pages, hey, we're opening, so come and visit us. And then busybodies on Facebook, not even customers, are reporting them to the authorities. That's what's happening. I think that's what happened with Ralph Klein's niece.
And Sheila, I have proof of that. I've got a video coming up of Excel Music. It's our latest Fight the Fines case, a little music store operated by a lovely lady, Gladys Chan. And what did her in? There was somebody, there was a family of 3 in. They were test driving a piano, because when you're going to buy a $5,000 musical instrument, folks, you want to test it out. It's just like a car. And there's a person that walks around this strip plaza where she's located, and he just puts his head to the windows and makes sure everyone is complying in terms of there's no customers, there's all the PPE, the hand sanitizer. And this guy, he's not by law. He's not getting paid to do this. He's just a busybody. He called by law on Gladys, and now she's got about $2,000 in fines. Yeah, so you're right. There are people with no life that thrive on this kind of rattery.
That's like the lady the video just went live this morning. Dana, she's a new Canadian, thought this was a free country. Her house is in foreclosure because of a bad economy and some family problems. So she's got to sell her furniture because she needs money. She's got to move out. The judge has said, you got to get out by this date. So she has somebody come to the house to get the couch that she just sold them. Some busybody uses the coronavirus to carry out a petty grievance against her, calls the cops, she gets a ticket for an unauthorized gathering.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were
malicious.
I saw that posting. I better just shut up right now. I'm getting too angry.
It's malicious. This lady, I mean, they're just kicking her when she's down, but we're helping her. So
Good.
I'm proud to say that we can, she's got a lot of problems in her life, and this shouldn't be one of them. Let us take on this burden for you. Herbert Hildebrandt gives us $10. Thanks for shining the light on these techno rats. Onward together. Olga Jenny gives us $5. What about United Airlines kicking off every passenger on their plane for singing the U.S. national anthem? I didn't see that,
What?
Olga, but I just put it on my little list of things to look up after we're done.
It can't be.
I don't know. Sounds
American
really bad, though.
Airlines is kicking Americans off for singing the American. I mean, that story writes itself if it's true.
Yeah, that's like using your loyalty card to betray your customers.
Oh my God. Wow.
Cataclysmidal, I think. $5. People need to vote for the PPC and send a message to the political class. Vote for whomever you want. Organize. Door knock. Get involved. That's my advice. Kane and Mark, sorry, David, you're going to say something.
Oh, yeah. And if there's nobody to vote for, don't just stay at home on election day. Go to the polls and decline your ballot. And by that, I don't mean spoil your ballot. If you spoil your ballot, they just think you're too stupid to fill out a ballot. Ask for an authority to come over, and you fill out some paperwork and you say you're declining your ballot. The reason I say this, Sheila, is could you imagine if we had on election day, in a federal election, say 4 million declined ballots? That many people saying, the hell with the lot of you. None of you are worth that. What a message that would send. So if that is the camp you're in, that you can't vote for anyone, say so on election day nevertheless.
That's right. Kane Enmark gives us $5. It was so nice to meet you at the Freedom Walk in Calgary on Saturday, Sheila. Oh, thank you. I have only one with the red MAGA hat on. Shout out to Justin.
Wow.
Love it. Viking Insane gives us $5. Conservative Party of Canada is globalist and Doug Ford is a disaster. Pallister and Kenny both caved too. Do our votes even matter if we use Dominion voting machines for elections? Christina Pabloka gives us $6.99. Aaron has to wake up very soon. We in Durham support him, but he has to realize that we support independent media. We never watch CBC or CP24. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
You can still vote for Aaron O'Toole, but also tell him, look, you got to talk to the media that we watch if you want us to hear your message. And we've got a lot of people who hate watch us, who actually come around to our way of thinking because they're watching us because they don't like us, and then they realize after watching us that we are not that which the mainstream media says we are, and we're changing hearts and minds. And wouldn't Aaron O'Toole love to talk to those people?
Yeah, and Mr. O'Toole, that viewer who just said those words, that's who should have your ear, not Rosemary Barton.
Thank you. Benjamin Van Drunen, again, $5 looks like Meru Blue lockdown support poll. Oh, yeah. Pre-Discovery Channel gives us $3.99. No super chat. And Crazy $5. We don't want Trudeau, but we also don't want O'Toole. We want someone new, someone for the people. They work for us. We don't work for them. Viking Insane gives us $2. If principles are important, ditch CPC and go PPC. Spiral, $5. Logically, this does not make any sense. Are they just trying to get votes from Liberal voters? Might as well call them the Liberal Party. Thanks.
And by the way, Sheila, I posed this to Andrew as well. As we know, when Andrew Scheer won the nomination, it was on the 13th ballot. It was by less than 2%. Partly it was because he brought in all those dairy farmers from Quebec. And of course, number 2 was Mr. Bernier. My question to you, if Maxime Bernier had indeed won the Conservative Party of Canada leadership convention, I guess it's going back to 2018 now, would there be a different outcome in the 2019 election? Or do you think Bernier, like Scheer, could be manipulated into being a liberal-light person if he was indeed the leader of the Conservative Party?
I think you have a lot of freedom when you're not within the party structure.
Yeah.
And you end up in a vacuum. I think this happened to Doug Ford. Look how he talked when he was running to be the leader versus how he's talking now that he's the leader. He's calling his own base a bunch of yahoos.
Yeah.
It happens so quickly. Once you end up surrounded by all these hangers-on, and that's who you're talking to instead of the people on the other side of the hangers-on, your voters, you end up with, in a real bubble, and it's bad. And it only helps the Liberals.
It's an unfair question. Unless we could reverse the time-space continuum, we'd never have an answer. I'd like to think that Mr. Bernier would have the testicular fortitude to be the kind of man that he is right now as leader of the PPC. But like I said, we'll never know. So, okay.
Okay. Justin's like, wrap it up.
His burrito is here.
Oh, you guys get food. I just drink pickle juice over the kitchen sink for lunch. Viking Insane gives us $2. Conservative Party of Canada, Washington Generals of Canadian Politics. C-No, $5.
That's good.
C-No gives us $5. Keep up the great work, guys. It's sad about Aaron O'Toole. He can't even honor his campaign commitment, defunding the CBC. Much love from Newfoundland. Yeah, again, we want Aaron O'Toole to win. We don't want Justin Trudeau as the leader.
Exactly.
That's why we want him to be the best possible Conservative he can be, and if that means harsh criticism from us, then so be it. I think he's a big enough man to take it. Alex gives us $5. I like Pierre Poilievre and how he grills Trudeau and his party. He talks big, yet I don't see him taking any action. What's the deal? It's hard to take action as the critic because you don't really have any power. You're sitting across the floor in opposition. Lisa Proust, $2. Love you, Sheila and David. Hi, Lisa. Thank you. Carrie Pels, you should have the Hodge twins on your show. You know what? That's a great suggestion for Andrew, who's got his own show now these days. I try to cover the lesser known, like activists who are sort of grinding it out. And Andrew's sort of focusing, I guess, on like the bigger name newsmakers and stuff. So maybe that's a great suggestion for Andrew. I will pass that on to him. News Now Canada Independent Media. Carrie is still helping me. That's Carrie from Culture Guard, and she's doing great for me. Thanks, Rebel, for covering the Yaniv case, and Yaniv 2020 isn't looking good. I think everything in 2020 isn't looking great. Adam Bala, $10. Thanks, Sheila. As No Frills will notify the police if my pregnant wife goes shopping with a face shield. We will probably be contacting you with Fight the Fine. We'll be suing also. If you do get a ticket, please reach out to me at fightthefines.com and we'll help you from there. Olga Jenny, $5. Twitter and Facebook have lost $51 billion combined in market share since banning Trump. Gail Pulak, $5. Flat Earth Preacher, $5. I have a story for you. The tax court called my shed a house and taxed me $80,000.
What?
Wow. Send that to tips@rebelnews.com.
Please.
And Dan Searle gives us $20. Love you guys from Ontario. Thank you very much. We're all wrapped up. And Justin, you can have your burrito. Oh, no, never mind. We got another one.
One more.
Fi $2 or Dr. Fi $2. Where is the official opposition this year? Yeah, we were talking about that in the morning meeting. We exist like constantly dealing with politicians and the decisions politicians are making, but it's difficult for us to even name the Conservative Party critics right now, and it's because they're not out there fighting.
Well, Sheila, holy guacamole, we're 21 minutes over the hour, and Justin's got a rumbly in his tumbly. So, folks, and Justin's reminded me of other shows that have to be recorded today.
Your own, David.
So,
like your own show.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Anyways, folks, on behalf of Mr. Producer Justin, Sheila, the She-Devil Gun Raid, myself, David Menzies, thank you so much. Special thank you to all the Super Chatters. Because of you, we keep the lights on. In the meantime, Sheila and I will see you on Tuesday. Ezra will be here tomorrow at noon. In the meantime, stay sane.